So as we rejoin the conflict in the Yarator system, part of the Galeras sector, we dip down to planet level in Organtera, a planet that housed or populated some form of advanced race a long time ago. Only ruins are left on the planet's surface now though, as the Templars and the Word Bearers touch down again. Here is 1,000 points of Black Templars configured in a Vanguard detachment. So we have an HQ and 3 elites, and they are as follows. We have here a Terminator Chaplain, all kitted out and ready to go with a Stormbolter. He is joined with a 10-man Assault Terminator Squad, and likewise on the left here we have a 6-man Standard Terminator Squad with no heavy weapon upgrades. And finally, to round out the force, we have a Contemptor Dreadnought with Keras Assault Cannon. So that's my 1,000 points, and we'll now move on to see what the Word Bearers have bought.
Right, so here we are to my 1,000 points of Chaos Space Marines, the Word Bearers of the 83rd War Host. We have got a battalion detachment here, and leading it we have 2 Chaos Sorcerers. Everything here is Mark of Slaanesh in this little warband here. So we've got 2 Chaos Sorcerers here. We've got 2 Chaos Marine squads of 5, both have plasma pistols as on the champions and melter guns. Got one there and one there, both in rhinos with combi bolters and havoc launchers. We've got a squad of 6 Chaos Marines there with a flamer as a special. We've got a Sakaran tank there with heavy bolter sponsons. And finally, to round the force off there, we have got a squad of 10 combat cultists there. So that's my force. Let's have a look at the battlefield.
Previously, we witnessed the Templars taking hold of one of the artifacts that was sorely sought after by the 83rd War Host. The Galeras Crusader Templars, obviously a little bit suspicious of what's going on, have redoubled their efforts to try and find out where the Word Bearer force was going to head to next. And through tracking smaller craft heading towards this planet, they have made planetfall on Organtera to attempt to thwart the 83rd Warhurst's plans. So as we approach turn 1, the Templars are pretty much all waiting to teleport down to the surface, trying to react to the situation on the ground. However, a lone Contemptor Dreadnought has taken position here, ready to move forward. At the moment, the Galeras Crusade Templars have the first turn. Are the 83rd Warhost ready to receive, or are they going to seize?
Ready to receive.
They're ready to receive. So, back in a minute with turn 1 for the Black Templars. With a quick pop in the air, the Terminators from the Galeras Crusade land where they're supposed to. And over here, this objective is the cache that everyone's been looking for. So this standard Terminator squad squares up to try and hold the line. A little alienated over on this side, however, in the middle, feeling a little bit surrounded, this Terminator squad is ready to move forward into combat with the various units over there. So at the end of the movement phase, we're now going to head on to the shooting and see what the Templars can do. So as the shots ring out from the Templar lines, the cultists wail in fear and pain as they fall. I think we wiped off, 6 cultists during that shooting phase. So, however, they are only cultists. The main force is still sitting inside those rhinos. So now this Templar assault squad is going to charge forward and try and get into combat nearer to the 2 units they really want to get to. Back in a moment with the assault phase. So as the Templar Assault Squad crashes home, the 3 remaining cultists have been minced. They then consolidate up into the Rhino, who tried to fight back but didn't do anything. However, there's a lot of firepower probably about to hit those Assault Terminators, but hopefully they can hold the line long enough to reach the end of the game so that they can escape with the Relic. So, we'll now move on into the Word Bearers, 83rd War Host, turn 1.
Turn 1 for the Word Bearers. So Sakaran has pulled back full speed over this direction to reinforce the Marines on this flank. Although we're far from the objective, we need to put some firepower in the centre. It is a very intimidating site for the Word Bearers to hold. It's a lot of Terminators. To see if we can kind of thin them out somewhat. Over here, this Rhino's backed out, possibly not far enough, but it needs to get far away from the Terminators in the centre. And this one is hiding at the moment, putting some fire in with the Havoc launcher. Let's see if we can thin these Terminators out at all. End of turn 1 shooting for the Chaos Space Marines, and the Sakharin here fired its heavy bolters and its turbo accelerator autocannon in here, killing off 3 of the Terminators. Very nice to kind of cause a blow on the Imperial forces there. Over here, Rhino wasn't able to do anything as it fell out of combat, and a Havoc launcher and combi bolter fired here, but hit, wounded, but the Terminator armour saved them. So we're moving on to turn 2 now for the Black Templars.
So as the focus of the game shifts to the right hand side of the board here, the Terminators on this side have decided to stay put, knowing that the objective is their main priority here. So even though they're probably going to have to weather some more fire from that direction, they decide to stay there. The Contemptor has pushed through the gap here, heading towards the 2 Rhinos. However, he's a little bit far out to lend a hand this turn, other than a few spraying shots from the assault cannon. And on this side, the Terminators here have decided to shift and ignore the Sakharin, even though that could be a fatal mistake, because they know that this side of the board is more important at the moment. And in the middle here, the Terminator Chaplain trying to keep up. However, he has fallen a little out, not being able to get his assault off. However, he's going to hopefully support them in a turn or 2. So we'll move on into the shooting phase for the Templars. So as the turn 2 for the Templars hots up, over here these Stormbolters opened fire and took a wound off the Rhino. The Contemptor here also attempted to lend a hand but didn't do anything, and now we enter the assault phase with this Terminator Assault Squad eyeing up a charge at the Rhino, hopefully going to try and take it off the board, but we shall see. So we'll now move on into the assault phase for the Templars. As the Templars charge falters, they didn't quite get to the Rhino. I think the terrain throwing them off a little bit, not able to get to their quarry. So now we'll move on into the 83rd Warhost, turn 2.
Turn 2 movement for the 83rd Warhost. So over on this flank here, the Chaos Space Marines are following up as the Terminators advance towards the Traitor Marines' brethren. They're moving up alongside to just plough in some bolt gunfire in there. Sakharin's remaining stationary. Over on this flank, however, the Rhinos are still shifting along. They're positioning themselves, perhaps ready for a disembarking crew soon to come out and lay some fire into the Terminators, but at the moment they are waiting. They are waiting for the Marines to make another move, and perhaps it'll be the wrong move. So let's move into turn 2 shooting for Chaos. Turn 2 shooting for the Word Bearers of the 83rd. So over here we had the Sakharin firing over into this squad here, taking another Terminator out there, leaving the only one with lightning claws, the captain there with the laurels on his shoulder. Over here, bolters also pounded into the back of the Templars there, hoping to bring one down. And finally on this flank over here, the 2 Rhinos fired the Havocs and combi bolters into the Terminators, causing 1 wound on one of the Terminators there. So they are pinning them down for now, but not able to do any real damage. So there's no assault. Let's move on to the Templars.
So as the battle intensifies over here, the weapons fired in from the Terminators and the Contemptor at this Rhino here, taking it down to 4 wounds. So the Stormbolt was doing most of the work, which is quite impressive for the fact that it's not really designed to do that. The Contemptor did join in, but only caused 1 wound. So the only thing left to do for the Templars to try and charge the Rhino and see if they can open up the can and get to what's inside the 83rd Warhost. Let's see if we can open them up. The Templar Terminators again faltering on the charge. Really can't get purchase on this strange planet's ground, so the Rhino escapes again to live another day. However, the net is closing over here. I don't think there's many ways they can move out of the way this time, but I presume there may be some people getting out of them now. So we'll see what happens in Word Bearers turn 3.
Turn 3 movement for the Word Bearers. So the trap is now sprung and the 83rd Warhosts disembark from their rhinos, preparing to lay down fire at the Terminators that were guarding the objective there. They're going to put some fire in here. They have also called in some long-range support from across the field. The Sicaran is pushed up and potentially it is going to put some firepower also into this Terminator squad to deal with them. As well as the Sicaran, the Chaos Space Marine squad are still pushing up, supporting the Sicaran and enjoying hearing Terminators wail in pain. So let's move on to turn 4, shooting and psychic. Turn 3, psychic and shooting for the 83rd. So in the psychic phase, we got a smite off and a depth hex into the Terminators. They have all fallen though, because they have taken fire from this squad here. A melter gun took one out. A plasma pistol on the champion overheated when he tried to overcharge and he was vaporized. Over here as well, they fired in and did a bit of damage. Havoc launchers and combi bolt was fired in, completely just finishing off the squads. Over here, the Sicaran put in the heavy bolter fire against the remaining Terminator that was there and took him out. The autocannons fired into the Contemptor. We had 4 hits, 3 of which were 6s and 1 standard. The standard one got through, doing 2 wounds, and the Contemptor's invulnerable save protected it from the others, so it's taking 2 wounds there. The Chaos Marines that are by the Sicaran fired into the Terminators here, causing 1 wound there. So a very good turn for Chaos. Let's move in to Templars, turn 4.
So as turn 4 commences for the Black Templars, in a sense of impending desperation to try and hold this quarter, the Contemptor has rushed forward, heading towards the slightly injured squad of Chaos Marines over here. Likewise, over here, the Terminator Assault Squad has charged forward, getting ready to hopefully get a charge off against this unit here. Quite optimistic, I think. The Chaplain, still feeling a little bit out of the fight here, trying to catch up with the forces, is heading towards the objective in case he is required to hold it on his own as a last stand, and knowing the Templars, he probably would do that. So we'll now move on into the shooting phase for the Templars. So as Templars turn 4 shooting phase ends, the cannon here starts to wind down after spitting forth death into this squad here, taking out all of them, including a shot from the fist weapon as well, destroying all 4 in that squad that remained. He now eyes up the Sorcerer for a lucky charge. So we're hinging on a charge here from this squad and a charge here from the Dreadnought, both pretty crucial if they want to stay in this game, in my opinion. So we'll now see what happens in the assault phase. With utter rage and contempt, the Contemptor charged into the Sorcerer and destroyed him utterly, really taking a lot of damage, not a lot left, the Sorcerer left. He then moved towards this squad of Chaos Marines here, not quite getting into combat, but ready to charge in the following turn if he's still alive. Quite a few melt weapons in there, so it might not be too healthy for him shortly. The Terminators failed their charge, again, really not in the swing of things for this battle. So maybe had to get them some training if they survive. So we'll now move on into turn 4 for the Word Bearers.
Turn 4 movement for the Word Bearers. So the Word Bearers here, the Rhino pushing up towards the objective. We have to remember this is what it's all about here. So we're moving up there, hopefully going to beat the Chaplain. This squad here also pushing up, going to put some fire towards the Contemptor as they go past. Over here as well, the Rhino is remaining stationary, putting some fire, hopefully, into them. On the backfield here, the Chaos Marines are still pushing up, still putting fire into these Terminators, hoping to take one down. And the Karen as well is going to put in some firepower. We need to destroy the followers of the False Emperor. We need the gods to notice us. Let's move on to turn 4, shooting and psychic. Turn 4, assault for chaos. So in the assault phase, the Chaos Space Marines here and this Rhino charged into the Contemptor and did 4 wounds against this false relic. The Contemptor fought back and only took out 1 of the Chaos Marines there. So he is down to 4 wounds. 4 wounds now, so not good. And that is it for the assault phase. So it's looking quite sparse now. There's not much left for either force here. But we're going to move into turn 5 for the Black Templars and see if they can claim the relic and hold it against the Chaos.
So as we focus in on this side of the battlefield again, I think there's quite a lot of combat coming up here. The Terminators have decided to go for the Rhino as it's the nearest to the objective. The Chaplain has also moved up to block its way forward. So hopefully we're going to try and take out the Rhino here in combat. And then finally over this side, the Contemptor is wrapped in combat, but he's going to have to try and fight his way out because retreating is not an option. So we will now move into turn 5, assault and shooting. So as the sounds of battle die down, finally the Terminator Assault Squad here has managed to kill the Rhino that has been chasing the entire game. And at the end of the turn 5 assault phase, they have been victorious against the thing that couldn't hit them back. The Contemptor had a very good round of combat and finished off all of the Chaos Marines. So over here we have a Sorcerer left, and on this side of the battlefield, obviously the Sicaran and the Chaos Marines are just coming back into the battle now. However, the objective is the crate here. So let's see what happens in the Word Bearers, turn 5.
Turn 5 for the Word Bearers. So the Sorcerer has stepped up. He's getting closer to the objective, but he has seen the Chaplain there and feeling it's going to kind of turn a bit brutal between these two in a moment. Across the battlefield, the Chaos Space Marines are pushed up. The Sicaran has moved up as well. He's tucked in here. He's going to put his firepower down into the Terminators to try and thin those out and leave this honour duel between the Sorcerer and the Chaplain and see who is left standing. So let's move on to turn 5, psychic and shooting for chaos. Turn 5, psychic and shooting for the Word Bearers. So in the psychic phase, the Sorcerer down here, he got a smite off, causing 2 wounds on the Chaplain, leaving him on 3, leaving him on his knees. The Sorcerer is about to charge into combat and deal a fatal blow. Over here, bolt gunfire came in, causing 5 wounds onto the Terminators. The Terminator armour just kind of resisting the bolt gun rounds and just bouncing off. Over here, the Sicaran fired in again, killing off another Terminator, leaving this squad that started on 10 down to 3. It's taken a lot of firepower, but they are still standing strong. So we're going to move on to turn 5 assault, and this is going to happen. Turn 5 assault for the Word Bearers. So the Sorcerer came in here, did a couple of blows against the Chaplain. The Chaplain's armour was too strong, and the Crozius came raining down on the Sorcerer's head and just left mulch below his boots. Across, the Contemptor finally killed the wounded Rhino, and it blew up, causing 1 mortal wound to the Contemptor, leaving it on 3. Right, so that's it for turn 5. Going into turn 6, this is no clear victor at the moment. So turn 6 for the Templars.
So as turn 6 commences, the Templar chaplain heads towards the relic to collect it as the Terminators square up to form a shield wall for him to hide behind. The Contemptor slowly limping with his 3 wounds towards the nearest enemy, which is over this way. Not very much use because of his range, but also he's very slow now. So we'll now move on to the shooting phase and see if the Contemptor can hit anything, and then we'll move on to the following turn.
Turn 6 for the Word Bearers. So the Sakarian has pushed up. He's had orders from the remaining command structure. He's moving up. He's going to put some firepower in there, and hopefully, if it goes into turn 7, he's going to be able to deal with the chaplain. We will see, though. Over here, the Chaos Marines are still moving up. They're still putting bolter fire down the field into the Terminators. It's all to play for now as the Relic was in grasp. Turn 6 shooting for the Word Bearers. We have bolter fire coming into the Terminators, killing off one of the Terminators. The Sakarian then fired its accelerator autocannon into the Terminators, the heavy bolters into the Contemptor. Caused 1 wound with the heavy bolters, and the autocannons ripped apart the remaining 2 Terminators. So now the decision is, do I charge the Sakarian into the chaplain? It's only possibly, it's going to be the last turn. The Sakarian is thinking about it. He sort of wants to run a chaplain over. I'm going to do it, people. So let's see what happens in turn 6 assault. Turn 6 assault. So the Sakarian roared in, causing 4 hits on the chaplain, 4 wounds on the chaplain, then 3 failed saved. So the chaplain has been removed. He is a smear on the Word Bearer tracks. And we are now moving into turn 7 as a Contemptor faces up to avenge its fallen brothers. So let's move into turn 7 for the Templars.
So as the 2 final units square off against each other, because the Chaos Marines are a little bit out of the fight here at the moment, it really is down to what happens in this area. So first of all, we're going to head over to the shooting phase for the Contemptor to see if he can take off a couple of wounds with his melter and his assault cannon. So as the shooting dies down again, the Sakarian has been lit up by the Contemptor, and it is now down to 8 wounds. So it's now going to charge in and see if it can survive the onslaught from the Hellforged machine and see if it comes out as a victor in the assault phase. So as smoke pours off the Sakarian's auto-accelerator cannons, the Contemptor is no more. It went up in a plume of smoke in Overwatch. So this now means the Word Bearers, after a very bloody fight, hold the Relic and are now preparing to move off into the space. So as both forces fly off the surface of Organtera, the Word Bearers have definitely come off slightly better, but only because they had the objective. The Relic has now been taken and each force now holds 1 apiece. However, it is still unclear as to what these relics are doing or what they are for. Although the Word Bearers seem to have more of an idea of where they're going with them. The question is, can the Templars keep up on the heels of the 83rd Warhost and keep tracking them where they go and keep challenging them for the remaining 4 relics that are apparently in play? So let's find out what happens in Mission 3.